Well, it's time for Media Watch now. James Creedon has joined us in the studio. Hi there, James.
Hi, Laura.
And we're going to start with a difficult anniversary for France. It's 5 years since a series of Islamist attacks were carried out, many victims. And it started, of course, with a massacre at the offices of Charlie Hebdo.
That's right. So the images and slogans that sort of marked that awful attack here in Paris are again circulating 5 years on social media. And one slogan in particular, which we'll all remember here, those of us who were here in the France 24 newsroom 5 years ago, Je suis Charlie. And it seemed to emerge on social media sort of quite... it took off really as the slogan of that time. In other words, we completely support Charlie Hebdo and what it stands for. I am Charlie. And so a complete solidarity being expressed.
And there was a huge march, of course.
That's right.
And that was the rallying cry, yeah.
That's right. So a magazine that was often controversial, often pushing the limits of freedom of speech, people really coming out and saying, you know, that is a supreme right that must be protected no matter what, no matter who gets offended or how they are offended. Je suis toujours Charlie is another image that was going around social media today. Some cartoons as well at the time that show some of the major symbols and images. The idea that the pen or the pencil could be opposed by the gun, or that would somehow be seen as an equivalence or somehow fair in terms of opposition. That became one of the central images of the cartoons going back 5 years ago. A rifle being met with a gun. You know, and that is, of course, a very layered image. You could argue the pen is mightier than the sword, the pen is mightier than the gun, but also the notion that words or images could then be that the retaliation could be so brutal. It was just horrific in the minds of many. This was Plantu, the cartoonist for Le Monde, his image of it, pens and pencils being held aloft.
That was today, or that was right after it happened?
That was 5 years ago, yeah. And he shared it again today. Yeah. And this is a cartoon by Emmanuel Chonu from today, 5 years on, commemorating pencils here being sort of used in the image of candles with the Eiffel Tower, La Dame de Fer, bending over to light them. Now, this is an image by Cartoon Movement, right? So they're one of the number one sort of political cartoon associations, and it's a Turkish cartoonist, Engin Selçuk.
I'm trying to make sense of that.
So basically, what they're showing here is an Islamist sort of getting some sort of an X-ray, and
there's a pen where it shouldn't be.
That's right. So I suppose that itself showing that there's a continuity in the sense that the pen being held aloft or being held somewhere, that's as relevant now 5 years on as it was.
Absolutely.
Then.
Okay. Yeah. But in today it's very difficult to combat fake news, isn't it? A lot of it is shared on social media, and Facebook and other companies are taking steps to try and crack down on it. Some people say not fast enough, but it is an issue, isn't it?
So while there is a continuity in the sentiments, it's not the same. The context is not the same anymore. 5 years on.
Very different, yeah.
And indeed, Charlie Hebdo.
5 years.
That's right. Charlie Hebdo on their front page are sort of drawing attention to that new censorship. And new dictatorship, even, is the way they're putting it. In other words, people's hands, fingers, pens and pencils are being somehow censored or slammed in an era of clamping down on, I suppose, fake news and hate speech online. Now, of course, it's a very dense topic. We won't have done enough time to go into it all.
Banning the deep fakes.
That's it.
Part of it, yeah.
That's it.
And Emmanuel Macron, of course, is bringing in new laws.
That's right. And in fact, this article in the New York Times, we won't have a chance to go into all of it, goes into all of that. Where the rules of the game are changing. You've got porn websites, for example, with faces of celebrities grafted onto them. The deep fakes that you mentioned, where you can literally just make up an image and that looks very, very convincingly real. So all of that puts...
You can put words in people's mouths.
That's
literally.
it. Yeah. So it puts satire under pressure, because satire, it's very difficult to have that fine line nowadays when that fine line is being crossed so often. This is a cartoon by the Dutch cartoonist Gerard Roy. And again, he's sort of pointing to shifting times. We've gone from we are all Charlie, I am Charlie, we are Charlie, to are we Charlie, to I'm not Charlie, to you are Charlie. So in other words, there's been a bit of an about turn. We don't have time to go into all of it, but images that were being defended despite how shocking and appalling they were at the time back in the day, that there isn't that same culture or I suppose context nowadays.
And I remember right afterwards, lots of TV networks just wouldn't show the image that had prompted the murders in the first place. simply because they were scared.
That's it. And the culture, and that was where the whole "Je suis Charlie" thing came in, and we have to defend this above all else.
So much to talk about.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we're
We're out of time as always.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Dense topic.
James Creedon there with Media Watch.
Thanks, Laura.